Hey guys, it's Started Saiyan 13 and I'm starting a brand new series on this channel called Anime Greatest Moments, where we discuss the most iconic, profound, and groundbreaking moments in anime history and break down just why they're considered the greatest of all time. And what better way to kick off this series than with my personal favorite moment of all time? And I'm sure it's many of your favorites as well, Gohan versus Cell. Now, before we dive into this video, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and it helps me out as a new YouTuber. This is the longest and most ambitious video I've ever done, and I'm looking forward to doing more. And comment down below what anime moments you would like to see covered on the channel next. I'm welcoming any and all suggestions. I have a few in mind myself, so I may actually put a poll up on the channel asking you to vote for what anime moment gets covered next. So please keep an eye out for that. And with all that said, let's get into the video. Earlier this year, Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, and one of the architects of many of our childhoods, sadly passed away. His legacy, however, will continue to live on. This year alone has been huge for the franchise and the series, with a brand new series in Dragon Ball Daima and a record-breaking video game with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. The Dragon Ball series has enjoyed nearly 40 years of success, mass influence, and pop culture domination. Even people who don't know what anime is or have never watched it know what Dragon Ball is, or know someone who loves the series. And it's because of moments like Gohan's ascension to Super Saiyan 2 in the Cell saga, like Goku turning Super Saiyan for the first time against Frieza on Namek, that really cements it not just as one of the greatest anime ever made, but as one of the greatest pieces of fiction ever made. And that's because, for the most part, when Dragon Ball works at its best and is firing on all cylinders, it delivers on what matters most: fulfilling character arcs and engaging narrative buildup with strong emotional payoffs. You see, Dragon Ball is famous around the world for its action, and it's well-deserved. Some of the best fights in all of fiction have come from Dragon Ball, and even professional athletes often reference the series in some way, shape, or form. However, what truly takes an action anime, or any action story for that matter, from great to legendary, is how well it handles everything surrounding the fights. And the narrative weight behind this Gohan moment in the Dragon Ball series is unlike anything I've seen, and it has yet to be replicated all these decades later. I also want to touch on the reason why I chose this moment over another in the series, the only one that could have challenged this for the #1 spot, and that's, of course, Goku's first ever Super Saiyan transformation against Frieza on planet Namek. While this scene is equally iconic, legendary, and highly regarded by fans of the series, and who knows, it might get its own video one day, there is one narrative plot point that Toriyama established well before we even knew what a Super Saiyan was, and that was Gohan's hidden potential. Interestingly enough, that's something that Gohan shares with the big bad of this saga, because the origin of Cell also predates all of Dragon Ball Z, because you can trace it all the way back to the Red Ribbon Army. And you know what I'm also just realizing? The final battle of this series is basically Goku's son versus Dr. Gero's son, because Cell is Dr. Gero's creation after all. And when you see it from that perspective, everything else feels like a distraction, or more accurately, pieces on a chessboard that are leading us to this unlikely but inevitable matchup. In some ways, Cell is the most grounded villain among the major Dragon Ball antagonists. He's not a demon king, a freaky alien genotype from outer space, or a mystical Majin almost as old as the universe itself. This is a man-made biological weapon created right here on Earth, and that makes him all the more terrifying. And while it's fair to argue that he does have the cells of a lot of these aliens and demons, and that he came to this current timeline through time travel, it somehow feels more grounded when you dig beneath the surface because of how he ties into Dragon Ball's past and becomes a culmination of all that preceded him. And that's what truly makes him the perfect villain of this arc. What makes a good villain? Hell, what makes a good Dragon Ball villain? Is it running the roster of our heroes, wiping out all life on the planet, and destroying the Earth? Then you'd love Majin Buu. Is it having a shared history with the protagonist, an army of soldiers at your disposal, and committing unspeakable cruelty across the universe? Then you'd love Frieza. But if you want a villain with a unique backstory, who knows your heroes inside and out, and pushes them to their absolute breaking point and then some, and even succeeds in killing the main protagonist of the series when everyone before and since then has failed, look no further than Perfect Cell. Every single one of our protagonists goes through a profound change when Cell shows up in the story, and I'm going to break down every single one of them, starting with Piccolo. He's the first of the Z Fighters to encounter Cell, and I think his change is heartwarming. No longer the Demon King who wants to kill Goku and take over the world, Piccolo has grown fond of the Earth and has grown very protective of Gohan, even choosing Earth as his home over planet Namek. And in order to protect his new home, he has to become a guardian. And that's why he visits the guardian of Earth, Kami. Though the two aren't fond of each other, they have become aligned in mind and spirit. Kami has been the guardian of Earth for hundreds of years, and Piccolo now feels an obligation just as strong to protect his new home. The only thing left is to align their bodies. And as they merge through the Namekian fusion technique, the character arc of Piccolo comes full circle and ends beautifully. And you know every act Piccolo takes from this moment on, whether it's getting information out of Cell, stalling the androids, or risking his life to give Gohan a fighting chance, he's doing it all out of love. Love for Gohan, love for the world he's come to call home, and a newfound identity that feels complete again. Next up, we have future Trunks. When I think about Trunks' character arc in this saga, I'm reminded of what Majin Vegeta told the Supreme Kai at the World Tournament. Spend your life ruled by another. Watch your race dwindle to a handful, and then tell me what has more meaning than your own strength. Vegeta lived that life under the rule of Frieza, but his son Trunks also lived that very similar life under the terror of the androids. Trunks has sought many things in the past. His father, his friends, and the strength to make his own timeline better. Trunks does not have an easy road to any of this. He and Vegeta have a rocky start to their relationship, to say the least. He struggles to protect his family and many times from their own vices and horrible decisions. I'm looking at you, Vegeta and Krillin. And worst of all, his eagerness to acquire power as quickly as possible leads him to overlook a glaring weakness that gets exploited by Cell, and he feels powerless again. Cell is the worst possible nightmare for Trunks. Another one of Dr. Gero's creations that time traveled to the past after killing him in another timeline, took his time machine to terrorize yet another one, and is even worse than the androids he's fought against his entire life. And the greatest tragedy is, he gets killed by him again. The second Trunks to fall by this version of Cell. It may be easy for Trunks to blame himself or Cell for being powerless to stop the androids from destroying yet another timeline and killing everyone he loves. But there is a major difference here. Trunks is not alone anymore. When he first arrived to the past, he told Goku how alone he felt after Gohan died and how finding new allies had given him hope. Those same allies are there to bring him back to life and celebrate his return. They're there to reassure Trunks and thank him for giving their timeline a fighting chance. And they pushed him to develop a new level of power that could defeat the androids and Cell in his timeline and save what remains of it. For a character who endured so much, this was a remarkable happy ending. At least until Dragon Ball Super, but that's a story for another day. Vegeta might have the most profound change in this arc of the series. Never has a character had his pride and emotions tested through triumphant highs and soul-shattering lows. On several occasions, he fulfills his dream of being the strongest, or at least superior to Goku, only to find that reign short-lived. Not only is he defeated, he is made a mockery of by both Android 18 and Cell. And he has to watch as Goku not only attains a level of power he failed to reach, but that Cell surpasses even that, and Gohan even that. Yes, Vegeta coming to realize that he isn't even the third strongest person in the room, not even the 10th if you count the Cell Juniors, definitely crushed his ego. But it's nothing compared to what Cell does to his soul. Vegeta is a complicated man. A once ruthless man who slaughtered innocents is now a father with his own loose ties to the earth. And after being humbled multiple times throughout this arc, he is openly able to give Goku his due and acknowledge that he is stronger. Yes, even before Vegeta admits that Goku is the best during the final battle against Kid Buu, he does so here, and he does it in front of everyone, which in some ways makes it even more profound. It's a sign of incredible character depth and growth, and I think it makes it all the more tragic when Cell later not only kills his number one rival, Goku, but his son Trunks in a matter of moments. This loss, understandably, causes Vegeta to snap. His unresolved business with Goku is one thing, but it pales in comparison to watching his own son die in front of him while he's powerless to stop it. Vegeta, who has treated Trunks with scorn and disdain, often ignoring him for much of the saga, finally lets the facade go. He allows himself to feel the pain of loss, the love for Trunks, the respect for Goku, and a hatred for Cell. And while his initial assault, proving not only ineffective, but counterproductive, it makes that moment all the more tragic that the first time he allows himself to feel, he makes everything around him worse. Vegeta has lost everything, and in what he thinks are his final moments, apologizes to Gohan for his recklessness. But there is redemption for the Saiyan Prince. His very ego, and what led to Cell becoming perfect in the first place, and letting go of that ego, is what allowed Vegeta to come through with the greatest assist in history, and give Gohan the opening to finish Cell once and for all. Incredibly poetic, and very bittersweet. Vegeta ends the saga feeling incredibly lost following the death of Goku, losing his passion to fight overall. But on the other hand, he is not alone either. He is not without purpose. He has a family to go back to, a family he discovers he will risk his life for. And actually being there in person to see his son Trunks off after he is returned to life with the Dragon Balls is a very touching conclusion to his character arc in this particular saga. Now, I've rambled on long enough about everything else. Let's finally talk about that moment. And to do so, we have to talk about the final two characters that went through a major character arc in this saga, Goku and Gohan. Let's start with Goku, because his journey in this arc is fitting and very intentional. Throughout Dragon Ball and early Dragon Ball Z, Goku is a student. During the Frieza saga, Goku is the master with very little left to learn. And here, Goku is finally a teacher, tasked with bringing out his son Gohan's latent potential. And they're going to need it, because up until this point, Goku has always felt unstoppable. As long as he's around, everyone has a fighting chance. But there are multiple occasions where Goku takes a back seat in this story. And it's not just the typical, oh, the hero shows up at the end to save the day type of thing. Goku is the strongest weapon in the Z-Fighter's arsenal. But in the beginning of the arc, Goku is taken off the board with the heart virus. In the middle of the arc, he's too weak to contribute against the current antagonist and enters into the hyperbolic time chamber, a literal separate dimension. And in the final moments of the arc, he takes a back seat, passes the torch to Gohan, and then he literally dies. It's a bold choice from Toriyama, but a great one that was set up brilliantly. And all this is not to say that Goku doesn't have some cool moments in this saga. His battle with Cell is one of the most dynamic, well-choreographed, well-animated, and fulfilling fights in the entire series. But there's just one recurring problem that was present from the very beginning of the arc for Goku, and it's that he just can't keep up. Now, this is unsettling for everyone around him, and for us as the reader, as Goku is and has been openly admitting that Cell is stronger than him. It begs a change in question, from what happens when Goku isn't around to what happens when Goku is around, but he isn't enough to beat the bad guy. And this is a great plot point because it allows the other characters to step up and take charge, from Piccolo to Vegeta to Trunks, and yes, Gohan. Cell is a perfect foil to Goku because he represents someone who is just flat out superior to him in every way at this point in the series. And it causes Goku to think outside of the box. Every opponent Goku faces in Dragon Ball Z, he has had some help. Against Vegeta, he has help from Gohan, Krillin, and Yajirobe. Against Frieza, he has help from Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin. But this fight against Cell is one-on-one, through and through. And though we don't realize it yet, the terrifying reality is that not only is Goku not strong enough to win this time, even if he, Vegeta, Trunks, Piccolo, and a suppressed Gohan jumped Cell together, they would still likely lose. The only way for them to win is with Gohan's latent power. The power Goku and Gohan alone had witnessed firsthand when they were training in the hyperbolic time chamber. There are two critical character moments for Goku during Gohan's fight with Cell. The first is when he realizes through Piccolo that Gohan is not like him at all when it comes to having a love for battle. While Goku loves the thrill of a good fight, Gohan only fights because he has to. He's been doing it since he was 4 years old, and not out of love, but out of survival. Both his and the survival of his friends. This is a powerful moment in Toriyama's development of Goku because it shows that even though Goku is now the master, this miscalculation proves that he still has a lot to learn about his student and his son. It's a humbling miscalculation that has terrifying results, but it does humanize Goku in a way. The second critical moment for Goku here is when he selflessly sacrifices himself to keep Cell from blowing up the planet. It's in character for him to sacrifice himself for the sake of others, and after helping Gohan and giving him the mental and morale boost he needed to face Cell from the literal afterlife, he decides to stay dead. Partially to fight other strong guys in the other world, let's not kid ourselves, but to keep his friends and the Earth safe from others who would want to threaten it because of Goku's presence there. And he can do so confidently knowing that the Earth still has a champion. Gohan. The moment you've all been waiting for has finally arrived. I've delved into why Cell is the perfect villain, why every character has gone through a major change as a result of his presence, and now we're at the main event, Gohan versus Cell. It's the little things that build up to Gohan's explosive crowning moment, like being unfazed by Goku's display of power at Korin's tower, while everyone else was shaken up, or being able to follow Goku and Cell's movements during the battle without a problem, and even the subtle side-eye from Vegeta. He was curious about how powerful Gohan might be. It does not disappoint, because when Gohan powers up against Cell in the beginning of their fight, the internal monologue from the Z Fighters and Cell himself is one of the greatest moments of the series, as they all come to learn that Gohan is even stronger than Goku. And as Goku stands proud of Gohan, excited for the world to see what he's capable of, I want to touch on a moment not everyone may realize. Goku isn't the only one who knows just how powerful Gohan is in this moment. Android 16 is such a unique character. He's the strong silent type who would rather not fight, just like Gohan, which makes their special interaction right before his transformation all the more special. But 16 reveals that her scanners sensed not just the power Gohan was displaying, but the power he was hiding. And in his final moments, he urges Gohan to protect the world and not feel guilty about defending it from evil before Cell kills him right in front of Gohan. Android 16's death is particularly tragic when you realize it's one of the ones that's permanent. The Dragon Balls never bring 16 back to life. And whether it's because he's an android rather than a living organism, or Toriyama wanted to preserve the significance of this moment, it remains one of the more impactful deaths in the Dragon Ball series. And that's only scratching the surface when you consider that Dr. Gero used his own son as a model for Android 16. Earlier, I expressed how interesting it was for Goku's son to be fighting what was essentially Dr. Gero's son in Cell. But there's another layer here with another one of Dr. Gero's children, arguably a more accurate representation of what his actual child was, who was created to kill Goku, and him urging Goku's son to save the world by killing what would be essentially his sibling. It's extremely poetic and tragic, and damn is this scene the perfect emotional trigger for Gohan to finally ascend. The best Super Saiyan transformations are the ones who are pure of heart, awakened by rage, as the legend foretells. And that's why Goku and future Trunks' Super Saiyan transformations are a stroke of narrative brilliance. And now it's Gohan's turn. When Gohan snaps, it's a powerful explosion of rage, guilt, and sadness that draws the attention of everyone. The Z Fighters, Cell, the Cell Juniors, and the audience all stop in their tracks, and with shocked expressions bear witness to the death of Gohan and the birth of Himhan. And the narrator in this scene gives an Oscar-worthy performance describing Gohan as a warrior 11 years in the making who has finally awoken. And when I tell you the tears Gohan was shedding during this scene weren't just for the loss of Android 16, but for his own lost innocence, it definitely tracks, because Gohan becomes unrecognizable after this. The level of brutality, sadism, and raw badassery is something that can only be unleashed by a gentle heart. Never piss off the nice people. The nice, quiet people, I'm telling you, never piss off those people. The Cell Juniors everyone was struggling with, Gohan straight up embarrasses them, massacring all 7 of them without breaking a sweat. And he does it in the most graphic and badass way possible, hunting them down one by one and just flexing on them in the most creative ways possible. And that's just a preview of what he does to Cell. Everything from Gohan effortlessly dodging Cell's every move with style on top of that, to a silent Kamehameha that took Cell's intention to blow up the planet and made a mockery of it, to the way he taunts and belittles him, to the way he hits Cell so hard that he pukes up Android 18 and makes him revert back to a semi-perfect form. It's all breathtaking. Earlier, I mentioned how Goku was transitioning from student to master to teacher, and it's revealed here that his entire fight with Cell was for the purpose of showing Gohan how Cell fought. An incredible touch by Akira Toriyama and a genius move from Goku, who proves that he is indeed a really great teacher. It is so satisfying watching Cell, the self-described perfect fighter, realize that every move he was given through stolen cells is utterly ineffective as he gets the ultimate beatdown. For all the strengths he's gotten from the Z Fighters, he's also gotten their weaknesses. Like Vegeta, ruled by ego, he allowed Gohan to transform into a more powerful form without considering the possibility that it might backfire. Like Trunks, he powers up to the max and trades all of his speed as a result, putting him at an even greater disadvantage. And like Frieza, when pushed into a corner, refuses to accept defeat and tries to blow up the planet. Again, something that backfires. But Cell isn't the only one with traits that hold him back. Gohan is an unstoppable force, and everything around him is proven quite movable, so much so that we forget that he is still a child, prone to playing with his opponent instead of taking him down, and that results in Cell exploiting an opening and Goku needing to sacrifice himself. And if that wasn't bad enough, Cell comes back, stronger than ever. I just want to say, Cell should consider himself lucky that he kills Trunks instead of Piccolo after he returns to Earth. You know, it's one thing to take out Gohan's father, but his dad is off limits. Like, bro might have unlocked beast mode early if that were the case. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, after sustaining bodily harm in order to protect Vegeta, Gohan is now down to one arm, and Cell is more powerful than ever, and is preparing a Kamehameha that will wipe them all out of existence. Everything feels hopeless until Goku from the other world motivates Gohan to keep up the fight. Now, when an anime makes you think, I can't believe what I'm seeing, you know it's going down in history. And at this point, during the Cell saga, anybody watching this fight has said that like 10 times already, and yet more peak is still coming. Gohan powers up a Kamehameha with one hand and meets Cell head-on for the epic clash of a lifetime. The suspense is insane, as Gohan has the upper hand in one moment, and Cell has it in the next. The two go back and forth, and as Goku pushes Gohan to let go and unleash his full power. Side note, Goku in this scene is amazing. Like, everyone deserves a father just like him, because his belief in Gohan is absolutely stunning and incredible. You can't forget about Gohan's friends either. Piccolo, Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha all risk their lives attacking Cell to give Gohan a fighting chance, and again, the inner monologues are just spectacular. Tien, who continues to push the boundaries of what a human is capable of in this series, after delaying semi-perfect Cell, vows to avenge and honor Goku by protecting his son. Yamcha reflects on his friendship with Goku and compliments Gohan while putting his life on the line again. Krillin, surprised at his own strength and bravery in this moment, attributes everything to Goku and Gohan, and continues to blast Cell with everything he has. And Piccolo, reminded of how Gohan rescued him from his loneliness, risks his life to make sure Gohan isn't alone during this final clash. I think it's noteworthy that most of these characters at one point was somewhat of an enemy of Goku, and here they are risking their lives for the sake of his son. And just as things look over for our heroes, we get one last stand from the Saiyan Prince himself. I've already gone in depth about Vegeta's character arc in this saga, so I won't spend too much time here, but it's so fitting that he was able to get the penultimate hit in on Cell, given all that he suffered, lost, and his culpability in this situation becoming as bad as it did in the first place. And you just know Vegeta hated seeing the cells of the mighty Saiyan warrior race being stolen for the creation of something like Cell. So just this one time, you know Vegeta had to make an exception and decides to intervene during Gohan's fight. And Vegeta's attack gives Gohan the opening and the freedom to unleash his full power. And with one final push from Goku, that hypes up Gohan to the absolute max. He unleashes every ounce of power he has, and Gohan's scream in this scene will send chills throughout your body. Two quick things here. Number one, kudos to the voice actors here because it elevated an already legendary scene to one that will likely never be topped, ever. Not by any anime or work of fiction, Dragon Ball itself has had multiple continuations of the series and it has yet to come close to topping this scene right here. That scream Gohan let out along with that Kamehameha is a culmination of everything Gohan has been feeling since he was 4 years old. Years of fighting, years of training, years of danger, of fear for his friends, for himself. All the loss, all the pain, and the last of his strength was in that scream and in that Kamehameha. And number two, Gohan versus Cell is not close. The moment Cell lost to Gohan when one of his arms was out of commission was the moment all arguments should have ceased. As much as we would have loved to see a battle between Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Super Perfect Cell, the winner is obvious. Gohan's rage boost allows him to tap into even more hidden reserves of power, and it reveals that even as a Super Saiyan 2, he's only at the top of the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg in terms of the power he can output. And that's a power gap that Cell could never overcome at this point in the story. What makes this scene even more epic is the fact that Gohan is literally walking while holding the Kamehameha, pushing the beam and further forcing Cell's obliteration for added effect. And with that, Gohan wins. Cell is defeated, the universe is saved, and for the first time in forever, after what felt like an eternity of unbelievably incredible rising action, the climax finally arrives and delivers from all the buildup, and the protagonist and the audience can finally breathe again, satisfied by how epically the conflict was resolved. Whew, this video is way too long, much longer than I wanted it to be, so I'll just speed run through a couple things. The music, unforgettable. An epic story needs an epic score, and Bruce Faulconer delivered in every way imaginable. You can feel the intensity during the fights, the dramatic buildup during moments of tension, and the calm during moments of relief. Up there with the greatest scores of all time, in my opinion, and if you frequent the gym or just enjoy working out in general, I know many of you have this score in your playlist. I also think it's really cool how the androids have a chance at redemption here. Android 18 goes off to marry Krillin and start a family, and Android 17 becomes a park ranger, devoting himself to protecting wildlife just as Android 16 would have wanted. I love how every saga of Dragon Ball has certain antagonists turn good. You know, Piccolo becomes a good guy in the Saiyan saga, Vegeta becomes a good guy in the Frieza saga, the androids become good guys in the Cell saga, and Majin Buu becomes a good guy in the Buu saga. I really love that. I think that's a really cool touch. But yeah, that does it for this extremely long video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out as a new YouTuber. Tell me what your favorite moment is from the Gohan versus Cell fight, or just your favorite DBZ moment in general. Like I said, I'll be doing more anime greatest moments on the channel, so let me know down below and comment what other moments from other anime I should cover. And yeah, thanks for watching.